It is Tuesday, and I am here with Alyssa Farah Griffin and baby boy Griffin.
Yes, baby
soon
G.
Soon to be with us.
Yes.
How are you feeling? I want to ask that every time now.
I'm good. I don't sleep, so it's kind of remarkable that I function, but I'm down to the, you probably remember this with Heather, maybe 3 hours of sleep, but definitely interrupted. But I guess
you know
it
what'll help with that?
You. Yeah, having a newborn that you feed. Good. I'm just so excited for him to get here.
Oh, it's really, nothing can prepare you in a good way. It's great. It's great. I'm very excited for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you have everything you need? Do you feel like everything's set?
I do. We finally packed our go bags, which weirdly we dragged our feet on. Nursery's in great shape. We found an amazing nanny, which was that was the most stressful thing. Because both my husband and I work during the day, and she's perfection. We've had her at our house. We've spent some time with her. But then I have this fear of friends of mine have told me, you're in the hospital, you're bonding with them, and then they just send you home and you're like, how is this legal? I don't know how to
There's
raise
definitely
a
well, I think I've told this before on the podcast, but my wife, after giving birth, got really nauseous and they gave her something and it knocked her out instantly. And then they gave me the baby. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was not prepared for that to be, and I had to make decisions myself about what was going on that I had not cleared with her. And I was concerned. It all worked out.
They turned out great, so you did something right.
It all worked out, but there you go. We've had an exciting weekend because of this snow. We were a bunch of us were at the hotel on Sunday. You were among those, and I'm grateful. I mean, I think people were surprised to see you yesterday, being that you're very, very pregnant and conditions.
I asked my husband, because my instinct is I don't want to be away from Justin until the baby arrives. I just hate the idea of us rushing from different parts of the city or the suburbs to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
So I was kind of going to wait it out in Westchester where we are and try to drive in Monday. But he ultimately made the decision. He's like, it's much safer for you to go early Sunday, be in a hotel
before the snow gets bad. Yeah.
And get it. And it was the right call. It also occurred to me once I got to the hotel, I'm like, this might be the last time I'm alone, truly alone for a very long time. And I enjoyed it.
What occurred to me for the first time was, oh God, what if she goes into labor and I'm the only one here to deal with it? And I thought I might have to be
Sarah and Sunny backed out, who I could have had them deliver the baby, but would have fallen to you.
Yes, it would have been me alone at the hotel. Hey, all right, well, it's like a sitcom.
But honestly, I had told Justin, I was like, if the baby comes and the Patriots win, we're going to name him Baby Drake.
Oh, of course, yeah, Baby Drake May.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Drake May Griffin.
Patriots are killing me. All right, let's talk about some serious stuff. We've been talking about the situation in Minneapolis after the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Pretti. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino is said to be leaving Minnesota with some of his federal agents. Governor Walz said he had a very productive call, changing the tone completely of the way they've been interacting with President Trump. Do you think this will do anything to calm the situation there? Have we reached a precipice of some kind?
It's hard to say. So I'm just going to say, because I think I'm like so many people that our hearts are just breaking what we're watching. It doesn't feel like America. It's a lot of this is what I predicted a second term would look like. And there were these moments I tried to be hopeful and optimistic that maybe it would look different and Trump would lean into legacy and think about how the history books would remember him. But I'm like, no, this is the militarizing of U.S. streets. It's the denying of rights to U.S. citizens. It's now the death of 2 U.S. citizens for just exercising their First Amendment rights, among other rights. And the public sentiment is so strongly against the White House here. This feels like a real tide shift in a way that we haven't seen with anything from Epstein files onward. Only 20% of the public are even defending the killing of Alex Pretti. That's smaller than Trump's base, as I said on the show. His base is probably 30 to 35% of the country. That means even among his diehard supporters, they're like, oh, I have eyes and ears, and this doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And what I keep coming back to is this isn't merely a messaging problem. And I think the White House wants to dismiss it as that. They want to, let he's not junior, but Bovino's not junior, but they want to let a lesser head roll and then kind of say, we're cleaning up, we're working, we're putting Tom Home in there, who does have significantly decades of experience. But here's the problem. The president himself said that there's going to be retribution in Minneapolis. You have his own most senior advisors like Stephen Miller saying these are domestic terrorists and that accusing Pretti of trying to assassinate law enforcement. The vice president retweeted that. Like, it's hard to put that toothpaste back in the tube, even if you have the most cooperative actions from the governor and the mayor. Now, I'm hoping, because Trump is a creature who cares about, I say creature, like in the sense of he cares about public sentiment.
Yes.
And I do think that he can see that he's losing this. So maybe that will make him take some kind of a win and kind of quietly pull some folks out and let this be something done collaboratively with the governor. But I'm not optimistic.
And will that be enough? I mean,
right.
Will that be enough to change the general sentiment about his presidency now?
I don't think so. I don't, because we'll get to Governor Shapiro, but he said it very well. And I think I said something similar on Monday's show. This was a failure of law enforcement. I am a diehard supporter of our law enforcement. I think that well-trained community policing who care about the communities they serve are critical to a civil society. I think it's so important. This was an absolute failure of law enforcement, both Renee Good and Alex Pretti's deaths. And that there isn't an immediate pause. Look at what we're doing wrong. Are we recruiting people who are underqualified? Are we putting people in there who are reactionary rather than people looking to de-escalate? Like, to me, there is a real top-down issue that is much, much bigger than any one of these two just deeply tragic events.
Something you said to me that I thought really broke through was the idea that the Trump White House has a massive disconnect from being online too much. What do you mean by that?
So, and I can kind of pull this from my own experience. When I was the period that I was working for Trump was during the height of COVID. My husband, my then fiance, was basically living in New Hampshire. I was in a 1-bedroom apartment where I'd spend the 6 hours that I slept and showered, and the rest I was at the White House. I wasn't a big social media person, but you can start to be in a bubble. And when everyone around you is reinforcing your ideas and saying, no, we're right about this. And then you go to X, a platform that is run by your biggest donor who helped put you into office, who has deeply held ideological views, and who has an algorithm that's amplifying those views. You can dilute yourself into thinking this is what the country wants. And I worry that there's very senior advisors around Donald Trump who are like, oh, no, people don't want immigrants in general in America. Oh, no, we want, even people who have been here for decades, we want them out. The country is with us.
Look how many likes Cat Turd got.
Correct,
yeah.
Exactly. Cat Turd's crushing it with that tweet. But I mean, that is a real fear and concern that I have, and that they're not touching grass. They're not talking to humans. They're not remembering that they are as much president and White House staffers for the entirety of this country. In Twitter, I mean, I don't even know the percentage anymore. It's much smaller than it used to be. It is a tiny, tiny microcosm of this actual country.
I mean, I'm still on it, and I look at it mostly for sports, but also I take a look at the View stuff, and it's all negative.
It's
it's
totally different than it used to be.
And it doesn't really, I don't really blink at any of it anymore, but it's completely different than it used to be. Interesting. And, there's so much news right now. We haven't had a chance to talk about it. But the sale of TikTok now, yesterday they were having all these technical problems. They said were technical problems, but it seemed like possible that, and these are Trump allies that bought TikTok. And it seems like there's indications that possibly they were kind of shadow banning conversations about immigration, negative things, mentions of Epstein weren't going through on direct messages.
Yeah, that actually, I kind of wanted to do this topic. I think we need to get more info, but that was fascinating because generally if you look at like X is deeply, deeply right-wing under Elon. Threads is I would argue Threads might be the most bipartisan. It's not even deeply political.
Owned by Zuckerberg.
Yeah, but owned by Zuckerberg. TikTok, because it leans Gen Z, I think you get a lot of everything, but I found that it's relatively balanced in terms of discourse. But that I was hearing from so many people that if you had looked at TikTok the day, like last week, the day of Pretti's killing, it was universally against what happened. It was universally criticisms of ICE, and that there was a noticeable difference.
And I was reading a Bernie Sanders tweet today, actually, where he was talking about, some of his concerns with other things that are going on in media, and the idea that the White House is heavily influencing a lot of content for people. And I do wonder 10, 20 years from now, if we look back at what algorithms brought our country to and what how much control they have.
And by the way, like I've said this before, the average American also probably wouldn't have any reason to understand how much America's adversaries play a role in that.
Of course.
And have a hand in it. We know this from the 2016 elections onward. They are in the algorithms pushing content that's meant to make us hate one another. It's meant to create this internal civil war in our country. So they are amplifying the most provocative, divisive things that you're seeing on social media platforms. But then now you've got incentive structures for people that you're getting monetized on X if you're getting more viewership. And I'm telling you, saying like non-polarizing, non-reactionary things do not play. Like that is not buying me a big Twitter following.
No.
It's really scary. And we were not ready as a country and like as a democracy, I think, for what's happened, especially in the social media space. Like there's no guardrails
and
at
the manipulations
all.
of it and everything else. No.
Well, and then you had the White House with this. We had talked about it. This AI image.
Oh my God.
Of the woman who was arrested for protesting in the church, and they literally changed her face to look like she was sobbing.
Yes.
I mean, like if they can do that to her, they can do it to you.
They also darkened her skin. I mean, it was really, really horrible, and because of so many horrific things, it's not getting talked about.
Correct.
And they admitted they did it.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of surprised they admitted they did it.
Yeah.
But there's,
It's a scary time. And you know, it's funny because I remember when the election happened, you were trying to give an opportunity for not to be the worst case scenario.
Half full. Like I want to live my life that way. I want to bring a child into a world where I still believe in like the greatness of America, the greatness of the American dream and of the people. And I think one of the hardest lessons for me in the last few years is like this dispelling this very childish notion that like the good guys win and that if you do the right thing, you're going to come out on top. I don't believe that necessarily anymore. I do believe that the arc of history is long as it bends toward justice, but I think it takes a long time to see that come through. And I don't know. Sarah and I were both getting emotional. I mean, I'm super pregnant, but like you want to feel like the people who are leading us are the best among us and they represent our values and they're representing us to the world and to our children. And it's hard to feel like that in this moment.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. He was on the show today, and you asked him about why he didn't mention Trump in his reelection campaign speech. He said it was intentional. Do you think it'll help Democrats to win if they stay away from attacking Trump? Or, I mean, it's hard to lean away from this stuff.
Well, but notice he took it very directly to Trump in the White House in the actual interview. I don't see it as an either or. I think that your actions have to, and I think he answered this very well. You need to sell who you are and what you're doing for your constituents first and foremost. And then part of that should be, and here are the things I'm doing to stop the overreaches of the president, the cruelty, the things that we're seeing. And I think he got there. My worry I think in the midterms, like Trump is on the ballot and it's fine if you're saying, this is what I'm going to do to hold him accountable. But like cost of living, which totally fallen by the wayside from the White House, nobody's talking about that right now, is also on the ballot and making people's lives feel better. So I think as much as you could talk about what you're going to do for people and then say, and by the way, part of that is holding the administration accountable, I think that's effective.
We asked him the question we had to ask him, but we knew he wasn't going to answer about whether or not he's going to run for president in the next election. He said he's focused on the midterms, which I believe, but realistically, you think he's running, right?
I think he is, and I think he should. So he's always in the top 10 most popular governors in the country. He's got a massive amount of money. He's beloved in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And what I personally like about him is he's a centrist. He is somebody who has championed like school choice, but then he's also defended, some more lefty principles. He's someone who I feel like it's easy for us to like get caught up in the community that we're in. Like I think in New York City, it's like Mamdani rage right now and everyone loves him. And he's, by the way, a super effective politician.
He's out there shoveling snow in the storm.
This shoveling snow. But we forget this is a huge, big, diverse country. And you need somebody who can win in rural Pennsylvania, in rural Michigan, and can also win in Philadelphia. And I think he's somebody who could play to the broadest swath of this country. And I think is arguably the best positioned on the Democratic side to
governor of a swing state, a purple swing state.
I would argue the most important swing state, a lot of electoral votes. And he's a natural communicator. Nothing feels forced with him.
Yeah, no, I enjoy talking to him for sure. One thing he said that was really poignant, he talked about the night that his home was firebombed while he and his family were inside. And he said he has trauma from that night, of course. Who wouldn't? But it was emotional when he talked about explaining this to his kids.
I know.
What did you think of what he said?
I mean, it's so super important, especially on
top of mind for you too. I would think, of just how you explain this world to them.
I can't imagine. Yeah, and like today is like Holocaust Remembrance Day, and then having a Jewish governor and having to ask him in the year 2025 that he experienced
2026.
I think it was in, but also you're right, it is 2026. That he experienced this horrible anti-Semitic attack. It feels in many ways like we're going backward, and it's hard to explain. I can't imagine explaining it to kids. It's a conversation I've had with my Jewish friends where it's like hard for them to process that people could hate you because of the blood in your veins and the faith that you practice. But I think that he's somebody who has used his voice in a very profound way, I think, for his community. And I think him opening up about it is very powerful.
Yeah. No, the kid thing and talking to politics about them with them, and I don't for the most part, but there are things I do have to explain, and it's hard. And it's also it's strange when you realize, like, my daughters are 14 and 11. Donald Trump's been pretty much there the whole time. And how does that affect how they think about government as opposed to the way I grew up and the way you grew up? And
I think
having
about that
faith
all
in
the
it
time.
And institutions and things like that. It really is going to change this generation.
I think a lot about, like, the example that young men and boys are getting from the highest levels of government. The things we say, you know, I don't hate to bring this up, but Rob Reiner came up in the last segment, like that somebody's tragically killed and it's turned into a moment to mock or something. Like, our kids are watching and they're learning that, and it's normalizing behaviors and languages for them. And we're all going to have to deal with the consequences of that. Yeah,
we are. All right, let's try to switch gears a little bit.
Please.
I'm sorry. We've been talking, this is a fun topic for you, I think, even though it's also serious to them, but we've been talking about the Beckham family drama. And we talked about it on the Weekend View. We talked about it on the regular show. But I'm told that you've had a change of heart since the Weekend View.
Oh, my gosh. I've had a huge change of heart. So I was roughly open to being team Brooklyn and Nicola. And the reason for that is you guys all, like, you know, I've had some estrangements in my family. I don't come from a white picket fence. Like, your parents are never wrong and we're always good to you. So I have this kind of reflexive sympathy for kids who may have had tough upbringings. But hey, also, I don't think the Beckhams had a very tough upbringing, but sidebar. So I kind of took that take on the show. I literally heard from two different universes. My girl group, I'm the last of my best friends to have kids. And they're all like, so wrong, Alyssa. Like that, they're like, when you hold your son who you carried in your womb, raised his entire life, and he's 26 years old, and then suddenly chooses a woman he's known a handful of years over you and throws you under the bus. They're like, absolutely not. And then separately, to be a little dishy, I had like some pretty decently big names in my DMs. Mm-hmm. A lot of people who have worked with Nicola, and apparently she's an absolute monster.
Allegedly.
Just allegedly. But one said would never, like, under any circumstances for any amount of money work with her again. So I'm back to the drawing board. I think that these are two deeply privileged young people. Her dad's a billionaire. He's a Beckham. And this might be the worst thing that ever happened to them, but I think most of us would be like, you're doing fine, sweetie. Be nice to your parents.
Wow. All right.
Sorry.
Well, so
I completely throw my original take out the window.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Listen, takes evolve, and that's true. All right. So this week we had the stars of Bridgerton on the show. I know you're a fan. A lot of the hosts are. Is this the kind of show you want to watch alone, or do you watch with Justin? I have to be honest. I've never watched an episode of Bridgerton. My wife likes it.
I love it, and I have watched 2 episodes of this new season, and it's excellent so far. I couldn't get my husband to watch it. I'd say we sort of watched the first season together because it was like late COVID and we were down in Florida. He would always fall asleep when it was on. But I gotta say, what he liked about it is it's a steamy show. And
well, that's the thing, is it's borderline smutty.
It's borderline smutty.
Yeah.
And that's what he loved about it. He's like, I can't follow the storyline. I don't care about the outfits or like the class intrigue. He's like, but you always are in the mood after you watch Bridgerton, so you're allowed to watch
I've heard similar from Sarah, apparently. So
I think it was one of my first topics I did when I was
Doesn't help me with my wife, but yeah, it's fine.
Like, go watch Bridgerton.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the first topics we did when I was guest hosting, but it was about like the female gaze.
Oh, right.
And it is shot in a way that is meant to appeal to women. So while my husband is like, I'm bored by this, he's like, but we'll put it on if it's going to get Alyssa in the mood. So he has no idea there's a new season. Don't tell him. No sex is being had.
There's so Heated Rivalry is the other conversation that keeps coming up about this. And all the women on staff love Heated Rivalry. Many of the hosts love Heated Rivalry. My wife's girl group is obsessed with it and pressuring her to watch it. And she's just not feeling it. And she's like an outcast now because she's not into it. I think she's feeling a lot of pressure.
She should watch it because that's how I felt. We did it as a Weekend View topic and I hadn't seen it yet. And I mean, it is a cultural phenomenon.
She's just turned off by the hockey. I think that's
not the
I think she's like
not the softcore
No, I think
porn.
she's just not into hockey and like the idea of it is not for her.
Well, I was discussing it with my hairdresser. So I think it's a brilliant show. I get why people are obsessed with it. I'm going to say, like, similar to how men say they read Playboy for the articles, I actually think it's the love story that got me.
Okay.
It's raunchy. Like, the sex scenes, these are two very attractive men. That's not really what draws me to it. It is the love story between them that I actually think is the best part of it.
Yeah.
So don't feel like if that's not what does it for you, I actually think the story will be.
All right. Well, shout out to Heather's friend Julie, who's just out of her mind and considering cutting her off because she hasn't watched it yet. So.
Well, I think between the Beckhams and having not watched Heated Rivalry when I first talked about it, I was like, I'm going to be excommunicated from my friend group.
You had to do it. You had to do it. All right. Well, on that note, thank you for joining me today, Alyssa. Tomorrow, I'll be back with Sarah Haynes. We'll have another great show for you. Spencer Pratt.
Oh, I can't wait.
This is a big Alyssa show, I think.
My Millennial King, yes.
Millennial King. Obviously, the biggest reality show villain of an era. And now running
for mayor of L.A.,
running for mayor of L.A. So that'll be interesting.
Cannot wait.
All right. More to come on that. Good show. And we'll see you then.